Well, welcome to part two. As I said last time, we're doing this two-part series here. In this part two series, I have conversations with Mike Holt, Strack Inc., Jonathan Strack and Arron Nick of that company, Dru Jacobs, an iron worker from New York, and lastly, Arron Witt, the CEO, and like he likes to be called, the chief dirt nerd of BuildWitt. I wanted to share these conversations with you over the past year, and by no means are they the best conversations or the worst conversations. They're just some of all the conversations that we had that we want to share with you. And in these conversations, they provided real value, I believe. I sat down with Mike Holt, and he talked about the stupid things that we do. He talked about sex. He talked about, hard work. He talked about not being a dinosaur and wanting to learn and constantly be learning, not becoming extinct. When I sat down and I had a conversation with Strack, they capture what it is to put your money where your mouth is. We filmed their podcast on the day that they opened their training facility, where they invested in their community and their people. And then in my conversation with Dru Jacobs, he talks about history and heritage. He's a Mohawk iron worker and has a great story about how his family and his heritage brought him to where he is. And he also talks about the romance of the work, which is something that, honestly, if you haven't experienced hard work, you probably don't understand. But maybe if you step up to the line, you might get a grasp of it. And lastly, I have a conversation with Arron Witt, and he talks about the freedom of forgiveness, the importance of continuing to invest in yourself and grow, being willing to forgive people so that you can continue to grow and move on. And what it is to just, be about doing the work with the people that you work with. How enjoyable it is working with real people, the salt of the earth kind of people, which is very common in the trades. There are people that get it, that want to work alongside you, and they understand what matters. And also, I love how one of the things that he said, he just talked about wanting to make his mom proud. We all want to make either our significant others or our parents or other individuals proud of us. We want to leave something that means something. So here in part two, step up to the line, hear some of these conversations that these individuals brought and shared, as I believe they bring value. Have a great day. You have some posts that are going out right now where you're talking about dinosaurs and the young guns. And it doesn't have anything to do with age. And you don't know this, but when I was an apprentice, I was 18, and sitting next to me was a 45-year-old man trying to restart his life in a whole new career.
Yeah, I love those guys. Oh, my gosh. I love people who have, at some point realized, I want something different. And somehow they got involved in the electrical trade, and it was like, oh, my gosh, this is it.
Yeah. Well, I think that we even talked a little bit this morning just about the trade and how, boy, I hope this is okay. I don't want to offend you on the podcast, but
no.
I might. But I've seen some of the comments. I got to watch you personally answer comments this morning on Instagram and your other platforms. You actually, not only do you take the calls, but you're answering the comments, which I think it takes a lot to probably offend you, because you handle comments pretty good.
People are people. You know what I mean?
Just don't piss you off.
Well, what bothers me is what I don't appreciate, whether it be in a classroom setting.
Yeah.
And I take social media, as far as I'm concerned, this is an extension of me teaching.
Come on.
I'm giving the knowledge I have for the next generation or for the current generation, because I just didn't have that. And I know how I felt so inadequate. And when I make an effort, like if I'm doing something social media, it's like I'm doing something in a classroom.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a student come up and say, well, I wouldn't do it that way, or, oh, no, you can't do it that way, or the code is a bunch of crap, or something like that. Well, I would, and it's like, it's a distraction.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned to you a little earlier, sometimes I'll get 1,000 or 1,500 comments. I could easily get hundreds of emails. I get tons of phone calls a day. And I don't. You ask me a question. Well, why do you answer the phone every time, and why do you answer the emails every time, and why do you have to actually read every single comment and respond in some way? Why is that? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I feel compelled that I want. I always appreciated when I was starting, and not many people helped me. But if I asked somebody a question, they took the time to answer it, and I appreciate that. So what bothers me is somebody just being a distraction.
Yeah.
Just trying to annoy it. It's like, I don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll spend 15 hours a day answering comments.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So we have to figure that out. So that's the only thing that bothers me is when you don't respect the code.
Yeah.
You don't respect my effort, my time. Yeah. Goodbye.
Yeah.
No problem. It's not a matter of going out and do it. I have goals. My life is really simple. It's really not complicated at all.
Come on.
I'm taking care of my family.
Come on.
I got a baby.
Come on.
What do I got to do? Take care of my family.
Yeah.
Well, I got to work. Okay, but how can I make more money? Well, I have to get more educated. I have to put myself in a position. So, I mean, there was a time I had 7 kids in my family and I had a foreclosure. I guess they tape it right on the garage door.
Wow.
I mean, 7 kids are living in the house. I have no money in the 1990s, 1991, the recession, the whole thing. I hadn't gotten a paycheck for 6 months. I had spent all the money, and I'm writing my very first book. And my wife is like, and I'm paying desktop publishing, and I'm paying graphic designers, and I get no money. She comes to me and she goes, "What are we going to do? All you're doing is working like 14 hours a day, 7 days a week for months, and we don't have a paycheck.
Yeah.
What is your plan?" I'm like, I don't know. I just know for a fact, if I don't do this book, I am out of business.
Yeah.
If I finish this book, maybe I won't be out of business. I finished the book, the very first book, Understanding the National Literature Code. And then, of course, I wrote many books after that. So it was, I think, a desire. The overall desire was I'm taking care of my family. And sometimes as I do social media, I'm telling people, hey, Mike, I passed my journeyman's test, passed my master's test. I'm like, that's amazing that you put your family first, because you don't do that for yourself.
Yeah.
You do that because you're going to be able to take care of other people. So it's a matter of going out and do it. It's a matter of saying, I have no choice. See, I was blessed. I had nothing, right?
Come on.
I mean, I have a beautiful home here. You can see the background. It's all lovely. You know what? I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't care about any of this stuff because I don't care about money.
Yeah.
Money does. I don't have a girlfriend, right? So, I mean, I don't need money. I got a wife. I mean,
I don't have a girlfriend. I have a wife.
I mean, if I had a girlfriend, well, I'm trying to. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't care about money. I got my mountain bikes. You know what I mean? I'm a simple guy.
Yeah.
When you're poor, guess what? You're always poor. That's never going to change.
Yeah.
And so I don't care about anything. All I care about is taking care of my family, honoring God first, taking care of my family, taking care of my craft. I mean, how cool is that to be able to go to bed at nighttime? No, man, Mike, you just spent 15 hours answering some stupid comments from some people, but you know that you touched one person that day.
Come on.
You changed maybe one person's life. And you know what? That's all I need.
Mike Holt laying out wisdom right here on the line.
I got a simple.
Yeah. Want to actually answer some comments with you.
Okay.
We sat this morning and you allowed me to sit with you in your office while you answered comments. That was an honor. Thank you. I think I learned some things. Go figure. I'm with Mike Holt and I'm learning some things. I mean, you kind of build a business on that.
I have to tell you a story, and I don't know how I'm going to handle this. This is a problem.
You do know, Mike, whatever you say, we put online.
I know.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, listen, I see you're going to be in Utah. Man, I live here in Moab. You want to come ride with me? Hey, Mike, I see you're in Phoenix. You want to come ride with me? Okay, the first time it didn't go well. To go riding, mountain biking with electricians. And the first time you do something, it's called oblivious. You don't know. And it doesn't go well. Okay. And the second time you learn more, but now it's called a mistake. You know, and then if you keep doing the same thing, well, now it's called a problem. Okay, so the first one in Phoenix was oblivious. I go riding with people, and I'm sorry, I really hate being Mike Holt. I really hate being Mike Holt. So, you licensed? Oh, I'm working on it. All right, so then it means you're not licensed. Well, I'm working on it. No, you're not working on it. No, I'm working on it. I'm like, no, you don't work on it. You are doing it. You're studying.
Right.
You're actively studying. Well, I'm doing it slowly a little bit. I'm like, no, listen. No, that's not how it works.
Right.
Get your license. So now I'm yelling at the guys that are so excited to see Mike Holt. One guy I had dinner with, and the guy's telling me that he just got his master's license. He's going to go. He's starting contracting, and he bid 3 large custom homes. I'm like, have you done a custom home before? No. I'm like, I hope you don't get the job. I didn't realize that. Oh, he went really upset with me. And he might even be watching this thing. And I apologize. And I called you and I told you I was apologized, I'm like, here's my problem. Mike Holt unfortunately, it's Mike Holt. I'm very transparent. I'm very honest. I'm straightforward. I don't even know I'm pissing you off. You know what I mean?
I don't even know I'm pissing you off.
I don't even know that. I'm thinking I'm just having a conversation with you. I hope you don't get the jobs. And he says, well, I said, how could you bid a large custom home? You've never done it. He goes, well, my buddy, he's a builder, and he told me he's going to help me through this. And I got another friend of mine. I'm like, you can't go into business and bid a custom home you've never done before. You don't know the labor units. You don't know anything about that. I hope you don't get it, because if you get it, I mean, I got a master electrician. I know a guy who's a builder. He's going to build 3 custom homes. He's going to help me. Listen, builders are just out there to screw you for all practical purposes. They're not trying to get a new guy because they're trying to help you. They're trying to be able to cut their costs on the next guy. I get it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's called
Laying
business.
down wisdom again.
Okay, it's called business. Business. And it's like, but in my head, my brain, I'm like, I'm trying to stop you from getting destroyed. Only because, you know what, Mike Holt's done this for 50 years. This isn't my first rodeo. Yeah. I see a guy getting his master's license, doesn't have any clue how to run a business. I know I didn't know how to run a business. I teach business math. And I'm hoping this person doesn't get the job because I don't want to see him get destroyed.
Yeah.
And so
it's ultimately
that's
because
the bad
you care.
thing about riding with Mike Holt. So now that did not go well at all. So there's another guy who was there. I went riding with another guy in Phoenix. You get your license? Oh, I'm working on it. Okay, well, then when are you going to start? I'm going to start. He had my course. He had everything. He just didn't done it. So I'm pushing him. Okay, well, then let's set a date. What date? What time? This was last November. Supposed to be June 1st. Tell my wife, you know what? That guy never called me after June 1st to tell me he passed. So now I go to Moab, ride with a couple guys up there. Took my master's course. He's an electrical contractor. One of the guys is a journeyman. Took my journeyman's course. No, he's studying for the journeymans. He's using my Holt course. Another guy is an apprenticeship. He's using the Mike Holt apprenticeship program. We had a great time. Because if you're with me, unfortunately, I'm going to push you.
Yeah.
Just pushing you.
I
Like
can
the guy
see that.
on the phone call. I'm taking my journeyman's. Now, you're 62 years old. Go for your master's.
Absolutely.
So that's the bad thing about being around. So I don't know about riding people mountain biking anymore.
If you're going to be with Mike Holt, he's going to push you. So we were answering some comments online earlier, and before I left, I don't know if you know this, but before I left for this trip, I don't do a lot of name dropping, but I sure did when you said that you would sit down and have an honest conversation with me. And I've been an electrician. I sit behind a desk mostly now, but that's my trade. That's what I learned. That's what I went to apprenticeship for, and it's what I did for years. And so I relate with a lot of electricians, and we have the Blackline Institute, which teaches your curriculum, and we have in-person training, apprenticeship for people to learn electrical. And so I'm surrounded by electricians a lot. Mm-hmm. And so it was really cool. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to be sitting down having a conversation with Mike Holt. You would think that they were teenage girls and you were Taylor Swift. Like, I'm not even kidding. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. So, so then once I started to realize that, well, then I just started dropping your name for fun to watch these grown-ass men act like little girls. Like, you're going to meet who? You're going to, what? Oh, you need to ask him this. You need to ask him that. So I've picked 2 or 3 questions that I said I would ask.
Hold on before you do that.
Yeah.
My daughter lives in Alaska, and she's going to have some snow melting equipment put in. So I call up and just ask for a contractor. Just call, hey, listen, my daughter, this and that. The guy happened to be working from Alaska in Phoenix while I happened to be in Phoenix, okay, riding my bike. And he went crazy. So then my daughter says, Dad, you can't believe every single person that comes here. He goes, they're so afraid to do anything here.
Oh, yeah.
And all my family members, if there's anybody who goes, are you an electrician? Yeah. Oh, okay. All my family members. And I have 7 kids, right? And all the extended family, all of them, they'll ask somebody like, yeah, do you know Mike Holt? Mike Holt. And then they go on and goes, well, that's my father.
Oh, my goodness.
It's hilarious.
Well, like I told you, when I started the apprenticeship program, I used your curriculum and books that you had back then to help me understand the books that the school was giving me to learn from.
Yep.
And remember, I didn't even realize you were real. I thought you were dead. So I'm glad that you're alive.
Yeah.
So with that, let me ask you some of these Taylor Swift questions from electricians. I mean,
Okay.
Mike Holt questions.
Okay.
So some of them you've already answered. Let's see here. Here we go. This is one from a vice president of an electrical construction firm, and he asks, how does Mike keep his motivation and passion for the NEC? Is it a passion for teaching or a love of the trade?
Well, that's a question never been asked before. That's kind of strange. I was talking to Brian House, who works with me. I think he's almost 50 years old now. He started taking my classes when he was 19, and he's works with me now for many, many years. And I said, Brian, I always talk to Mike Holt as a third person. It drives Brian crazy. And I'm like, I don't even know what a third person is. Well, because I'm an 8-time national barefoot water ski champion.
I knew you were going to get that in there in some way, shape, or form.
And because I was that way and I trained heavily, I mean, I would get in the water for training purposes. Just get in the water, and I would say, okay, Holtzy. They call me Holtzy in barefooting. Okay, Holtzy's up. Men's 3. Here we go. He's going to be. So I'm talking. I'm like, okay, this is the world championship. Getting ready for the first pass. So I'm saying this loud in the water to myself. I'm actually scared. My stomach is turning. I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
Because this is just a practice.
Yeah.
But when I get to the world championship, I'm like, Holtzy, it's just practice, dude.
Yeah.
This is not a big deal at all. You've done this 10,000 times. You're going to absolutely kill it. And I do. And I absolutely killed it. I mean, you weren't even going to ever beat me, ever. That was never going to happen. So because I talked to myself in the third person, I told Brian this morning, I don't understand Mike Holt. I don't understand how I could be 73 years old. My sharpness is, I've never been sharper, faster, more efficient, mountain biking or anything I do. I don't understand that. I don't understand, like I made that little video yesterday about the young guns.
Yeah.
And I looked at it. And some of the guys like, Mike, I needed that. Man, you gave me some passion. You got me excited. And I'm looking at that. I was watching the video. I looked at it afterwards. I thought, as the third person looking at it, I'm like, you're pretty excited there. You have energy.
Yeah.
73 years old. You even thought about young gun being, doesn't matter, the age.
You actually called yourself a young gun.
Yeah. But it's all the stuff you'll see is a lot of times happening in real time to me because I don't even understand Mike Holt, to be honest with you. So why do I have passion? I think it's the same thing because when I was trying to become an electrician and trying to get licensed, there were no books, there was nothing. So when I created the very first book, it had to be color and it had to be illustrations that were exactly what you would see. Mm-hmm. Because the books I had before that, I couldn't understand anything at all. So my passion is because people have told me, Mike, you shook my hand that one day. Mike, you answered my phone call, Mike. And I realized that the code I'm passionate about, yeah, it's flawed. Oh, man, Mike, guy asked me yesterday, Mike, honestly, what do you think about AFCIs? Come on, I know you're Mike Holt, but what do you think about it? I'm like, I says, I think they're crap and I hate them. I mean, that's what I think.
You told me earlier that you would not lie, so.
So I mean, so my point is the passion of making things safe, the passion of getting somebody excited, the passion of them being able to take it the next level. Why at 73 years old, I don't understand that. And I think the thing is that, again, the number one thing is God is first. And God's given me a blessing. I was going to retire, supposedly. I was going to retire like, I don't know, 10 years or so ago. We're thinking about that, or maybe longer than that.
You missed it. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah,
but
I missed it. And my pastor, he was 80-something years old, and he said, "Hey, pastor, when are you going to retire?" He goes, God's given me the opportunity to help lives of people. I'm not going to disrespect that.
come on.
So for me, God's blessed me with a unique way of saying things and doing things and changing people's lives. It's a funny thing this morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, I wake up, I'm laying there. Okay, just go to sleep. Just relax. Just go back to sleep. Yeah, but I'm thinking, yeah, but you know what? What about the video? You know, there's a circuit breaker, the Square D circuit breaker. There's a label on this. It has on there, you can see that there's one wire if it's aluminum, but it's 2 wires. So you know what, Mike? You can cover 110.14 that talks about only 1 wire. I'm thinking about this in the middle. I'm thinking, dude, you're again, Mike Holt, dude, you're 73 years old. What the heck are you doing in the morning thinking for hours about what you're going to be covering that's going to piss off all the dinosaurs? Why do you do that? Why are you even thinking about this? And then I'm laughing at myself. I'm like, you're never going to die. Because if you wake up in the middle of the night like this, it's been going on for 50 years, you've been doing this, you wake up all the time and you're thinking all the time, you're so excited, you're so passionate, there's no way, even if you got some of the plaques and the proteins in your brain for Alzheimer's, it isn't going to matter because your brain is going to rewire itself around all those blockades. It's not going to matter. And so I don't know what the heck is going on here. I don't know. Sorry.
Honest answer. All right, last one. Let's see here. This one, I actually find it very enjoyable answering comments with you. Let's see here. And I'm mainly because you're answering them. I'm just asking the questions.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, this one comes from our director of education at the Blackline Institute. And
is he a dinosaur?
He is not a dinosaur. Okay. He is not a dinosaur.
Okay, we got it.
He's a young man that has a love for the trade, and he loves teaching people. And I say he's a young man; he's in mid 30s,
baby.
And but he absolutely loves sharing the trade with people and helping them understand.
That's what drives me. It's those guys that get excited. That's going to help the next generation. How cool that I can somehow be a leader in a way to inspire other people for them, because one day, listen, my coat's going to be gone, right? We're not, none of us getting out alive, all right? So we got that worked out.
None of us get out alive.
So that is so cool. I love those kind of individuals.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, and just to be clear, so that you know this, not only do you affect him, but you're affecting each and every person in that classroom at the same time.
And you know what I'm affecting? Their wives, their kids.
Absolutely.
You see a guy who's never studied, he didn't finish high school, and he didn't think he'd do. He gets my course, and guess what? He gets at 5 in the morning, and he's killing it. He gets home at nighttime. He spends 3 or 4 hours at nighttime. He's working Saturdays, studying. He's killing himself, and the family's just watching, like, what the heck? Now the kids are starting to study more. The wife is impressed.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's so cool.
So this is from him. What advice or encouragement would you be willing to share with our apprentices? And let's just say this, with all apprentices everywhere, those guys that are, guys and girls that are out there like, I think I want to become an electrician. And let me drive a little bit, let me add something to his question. I remember when I was trying to decide what trade I would go into, and they were like, well, you can do this, this, or this, but electrical apprenticeship is 4 years. And in some places it's 5. And so it's like, I was 18 years old and I'm like, that's a lot. That's a long time. And so what could you say to those apprentices to encourage them in those 4 or 5 years?
That's a tough one. I've had students take my class and they did terrible. And then I would see them years later and they're the number 1 student in the class. I'm like, what the heck happened? When you were here a few years ago, I mean, you were just a total loser. I mean, you came late, you left early, you have all kinds of excuses. He goes, I wasn't ready. You talked about that gentleman, 45 years old.
Yeah.
You got to be ready. You got to understand how this works, okay?
Yeah.
You have to be responsible. You have to take care of your family. And, you know, one guy he called me that he just, like phone call this morning. Hey, Mike, want to tell you I passed my exam, man. And he was telling me all kinds of stuff about how he studied.
Right.
And that his partner was with him, who was another electrician, but wasn't licensed. And he was yelling. He was complaining about the guy who just passed, that the guy would be on a treadmill with an iPad, and he'd be doing the courses and the questions and the answers because our courses it's hybrid. It could be either in class, book, whatever you want it to be. And the guy would be working like 20 or 30 hours a week studying, and this guy was just mocking him. And I said, listen, he did exactly, and I told the guy, he did exactly what Mike Holt would have done. I would have worked not even a question, 5 hours a day studying, not even what are you going to do for the rest of the day? Give me a break. You work for 8 or 10 hours. You got a few hours of sleep. You can eat in the closet with your food as the kids are screaming and yelling all over the place, and the wife is upset because she's handling all the responsibility. I don't really care. I'm getting my license. Okay, that's 5 hours a day. Saturday, oh yeah, that's 10-hour day. Sunday, that's a 6-hour day. Easy 30 hours a week. I would study. I wouldn't even think twice about that.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm taking care of my family.
Come on.
Okay, so the guy says, you know what? Finally, he says, Mike, he says, I wish I had the desire to do what he did.
Yeah.
But I'm comfortable. I'm living at home. I don't have it. I have enough money. I don't need it. And I think we need to recognize people, and I say this in my management class, everybody has their own molecules.
Yeah.
Okay, my molecules, I'm pushing. Yesterday, when I rode my bike downhill real fast, almost went over the bars because I had a pedal strike. Really, really, really close. Do you think it slowed me down? No. Last year, I broke my shoulder. Did that slow me down? No. I broke my ankle. Did that slow me down? No. 3 years ago, I broke 11 ribs, collapsed lung, surgery on my diaphragm, liver was bruised. Do you think that slowed me down? I don't think so. But some people, and my wife is like the other extreme. Okay, she's not into any like that. And you know what? I think it's okay.
Yeah.
If you're like, that coat's not my thing, I just want to be a mechanic. I don't want to nobody to just tell me what to do. Okay, well, and I say we need people like that around, right? We can't have everybody like a Mike Holt, because what the heck, how's that going to work out? Okay, so I think that people, it's going to hit them inside. You know what? There's something about this that I have a passion for. I have a drive for. And once you learn it, I want to share that. If you can get to the point that you want to share it, well, then you really want to be embracing it.
Yeah.
If you don't really care, it's okay. And you know what I do is I don't waste my time with you. It's okay. But there are people out there that are on fire, that are hungry, young people. And when I say young, they could be 50 years old getting in the trade.
Yeah.
More than likely, the older guys are the ones that really got it. They not the first rodeo. The young ones are like living at home, all this other stuff. Oh, I got to study. I get the homework. One guy said, well, Mike, it costs so much money to buy your course. I'm like, go buy somebody else's course. Like, I don't care if you buy my course. And you know what? There is no other course you could take.
Yes.
I know. There is no other course you could take that's like my course.
Yeah.
So people put a value. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care how much it works. I don't care what I got to do. I don't care. There's nothing that slows me down. I don't care. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Done.
So
that's what I tell the apprentices. You got to get hungry. Got to have a need. Got to have a desire.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable. Okay. Well, maybe you get a girlfriend. Maybe now you're going to get motivated. Maybe you're going to get married. Maybe you're going to get motivated. But it's the people around you that affect you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get people who are motivated. When I trained for barefooting, I'm 8-time national champion. I went around the world in competitions. Who do you think I trained with?
Yeah.
Only world champions.
Yeah.
That's who I trained with.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't train with you and you guys, just average person. I mean, I can't get to the next level. Hey, man.
Yeah.
You need to do this. You need to do that. Do this. Okay. Get back out there. Let's go. Come on. No, you're not coming in energy. Okay, fine. So you need to be inspired.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you're not. You're like, nah, I don't care about that. Okay, good. We need people like you around.
Well, I think it's, I just was talking about this with a CEO of a $100 million organization the other day. And he said, comfort is a slow death. And he said it's a fast death in business. And he was, addressing that. And what you're saying is find what inspires you. You need to be inspired if you're going to be able to go through those 4 years. And if you're not, that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Go be a server.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Exactly. It's always the podcast that's off air that we have that is the best. But we talked about, those things and just talking about investment. One of the things that you had shared off air that I think is really important if you're in an organization and you're a leader or even as an organization, the importance of having hard conversations, like having a real and honest conversation. We say that not because we want to be superficial and cover things and go the easy way, because I've learned throughout my life that there's nothing that's easy that I want to have. All the things that I want, that have value, they take work. They're difficult. Now, in the midst of it, some days I wake up and I'll say to my wife, I don't want to do this anymore. And some of those days have been recently.
Yep.
But the truth is, I've been around enough. The things that I value are the things that I've worked for. Can you speak a little bit to people who might be listening, whether they're in your position or whether they want to be in that position or whether they're even in Arron's position, the importance of what it is to have a hard conversation with people?
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's was probably one of our bigger failings. You know, Dad and I talked about it coming out of the great financial crisis. You know, it's really two halves of my life. There's everything before the great financial crisis, and there's everything after. And that was the hardest time in my life I've ever had. You know, we had to lay off folks.
2008, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah. I mean, it really didn't get better for our industry, or I started seeing some light at the very end of 2012. So, I mean, it was 5 years of just brutal. You know, we burnt all the family's equity up trying to keep it going. And, you know, had to lay off folks that are like family that taught me. And you know, it's a hard deal when you're like, look, my client didn't pay me.
Yeah.
I've got no work for you. I'm sorry. And we were really blessed that a lot of folks wanted to come back to work with us when things got better. But
that is pretty cool.
Learned a lot, struggled a lot. And like you said, nothing good in life comes without some struggle. I mean, this place was a metaphor for it. I mean, we were like, all right, we're going to spend some money. We're going to build this training facility. We come out here, we hit rock. Immediately.
It's behind. Yeah, it's behind me.
Yeah. So we shot rock out here to build this thing.
There has been dynamite involved
for no profit, you know. But it's a long range investment. You know, we're fortunate. On top of that, City of Fairburn was gracious enough to let us use some of their land to do this.
Yeah.
And they've been great supporters in this. So, you know, she said, all right, you know, what do you think you stand for? And it was, you know, you got some general stuff, but there's no catchy way to say it. And so she says, just tell your story. So Dad and I had this 2-hour conversation. It was awesome. He learned things about me. I learned things I never knew.
Wow.
Even about how we were founded. You know, the whole company got founded because my grandfather took over payments on a dozer from his brother.
Wow.
And he just took a chance and moved down here from Wisconsin to, you know, honor a debt that his brother helped put him in, you know.
Wow.
And that's how the company started. And, you know, the 5th runway for Hartsfield-Jackson sits on top of Dad's childhood home in our first office. And, you know, it started from one guy living up to an obligation, like you say, struggling, doing something hard. Yeah. And
growing some oak.
So kind of weaving the tale a little more, we define our core values. We grow like crazy, are blessed and successful. But as you bring in a bunch of new folks on board, it's like, all right, we really got to go represent who we are, and recrafted those core values into what they are today. And while we did that, I'm like, what bugs us? You know, everybody's there together. We had, you know, laborers, operators, supers, folks up to me, you know, my level in the company, and it's all the same stuff. And what it comes back to is you feel like you're part parent and part employer, and it's societal. And, you know, the problem starts way before you ever get somebody coming in your door. So, you know, where we landed is we're going to try and grow great people that are then going to go on to be great workers.
Yeah.
And great employees and great coworkers, and become this work family and become part of Strack Nation. And, you know, we birthed a 6-day, over 6-month training program. We call it Frontline Leadership Training.
I read a little bit about that. Talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. FLT is just, it's defining who we are, like where we came from, what our values are, and all of us that lead the business teach it. And we went from nothing to about 450 slides worth of content in six or 8 weeks. Wally with Firestarter Consultant, he helped us put it together, and Arron leads some of it. And, you know, we do a piece where basically it's 2 halves of the coin. If you're going to go work on people, there's really a professional half and there's a personal half. So on the professional half, we'll take a job, we bid it, we schedule it, we do financials on it, we close it out, we talk about how we win work, we talk about equipment productivity. Like Arron and Anthony, they do a brilliant exercise on what's it cost to track the dozer to the Porta-John to the truck to get smokes, Mountain Dew, and you know, snacks.
Yeah.
And it's an undercarriage. It's the entire cost of an undercarriage in a year if you're not careful. And then there's this other side. You know, we talk about generational leadership. We talk about we give everybody a DISC assessment. We talk about household budgeting because, you know, if your finances at home are a wreck, how are you going to how can you be a good steward for dollars on the job? And, you know, at the end of the day, you're trying to show the folks you do care, you do want to grow them. And this is everybody really from a foreman or a lead man up to our level in the business. And it gives you some time to show you, hey, like, we're all working together. We all have some different roles, but it's that do your job team mentality. Whether you want to say it's, you know, Nick Saban, Bill Belichick,
right?
Whatever, Kirby Smart, if you're the Bulldogs
whoever
fan.
your favorite coach
yeah,
is.
Yeah, whoever it is, you know. It's
doesn't make it not true.
Yeah. It's all building a team. And at the end of the day, it's an expensive, slow burn thing, but it's going to get you the best return.
And that's a shift. Like, there is a shift in the world right now of, I believe, people desiring this. And if in your business you're not promoting, you're not talking, you're going to miss it to the Stracks of the world because you guys are. And so the eyes are there, and that's where the people are going to go. And the workforce is depleting at such a rate that if you're not doing that, like, honestly, your aspirations, while they might seem noble, there are some actual survival aspirations in what you're doing here.
Yeah.
Because you realize it is it is a must what you're doing here.
Well,
Yeah.
The generation that you're talking about, when all this stuff got built, that generation, they grew up learning how to fix things.
Yeah.
They didn't go, when you need a new car back then, you fixed what you had, or you went and found something sitting on blocks.
Yeah.
And figured out a way to barter for it, not pay for it. You trade something that you had that they wanted, and you fixed it.
Yeah.
And that's another, like, part of what Strack does is, like, a lot of our equipment, there's a brand new D8 sitting down there. We rebuild a lot of our equipment, and we even teach why we do that.
Yeah.
What we're looking for, what that cost means, how that relates down, because, you know, like people say, like, watching your dollars. We need to be thinking about our pennies.
Yeah.
Like, it's in your pennies. It's not in your dollars.
It's the truth.
And that's where I, like, draw my inspiration from, not just ambition, but inspiration, because you can go to a school and feel like not one person there wanted anything to do with you other than the free stuff you were giving away.
Yeah.
And there's other times that you come away and you feel amazing. And
Yeah.
so we have to remember that.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to understand this.
No.
But that, you know, that generation, that's the one that I really look up to. That was the one that left such, you know, there's a lot of people that are in their 40s
Me
to
too.
50s.
Well, I think, you know, you and I, I'm thinking you might be a little older than him and I don't know. It's just a guess.
No, it's mileage, bud.
It's mileage.
No, it's mileage. I'm probably younger.
I'm actually older, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
older than
yeah,
him.
no.
Yeah.
Well, now I feel bad. I judged you on, you know, camera. My
No,
goodness.
I'm 43.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, welcome to stress.
Yeah.
So I had a lot more dark hair and my beard, and then when we started grading,
Yeah.
the year we did it was the second wettest year in the history of the state of Georgia.
Wow.
In the most weather sensitive part of construction. I was
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
oh my God, what did I do? You know, but everything turns out okay. You know, attitude, effort, faith. I mean, that
Yeah.
fixes a lot.
Well, and the importance of not quitting when things get hard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal.
Oh man, that was the recession defined for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it was every day you woke up was worse than the day before it, and you know, it's like living in a thunderstorm, right? You can either choose to worry about the lightning cracking around you, or you can choose not to listen to it and act like that thunderstorm's 10 miles away. It's coming. It's kind of always out there rumbling around.
Yeah.
It's just how you choose to acknowledge it, or if you choose to drive towards it, or run away with it and not deal with it. I mean, sometimes you got to go deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's anything in life. You're gonna struggle at it for a minute, but you know, at some point things get better. I mean, that's how.
As long as
things
you don't quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, because the one thing you can't run away from is yourself.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
the
at the
truth.
end of the day, I mean, that's the only thing you can't run away from in life is yourself. And if you let yourself down and don't have any self-integrity, I mean, that
Yeah.
you're not gonna feel good about yourself.
A really intelligent man said once, I heard it, he says, there's 3 yous. There's the you show the people that know you. There's the you that you show people that don't know you. And there's the you that you don't show anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so, who you want to be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the best way that I could describe what I see you guys doing here, and this is a challenge. Like I want people watching to, you know, jealousy is a bad thing, but competitiveness is an okay thing. And I want there to be a little competition out there. And what you're doing, the best way that I can describe it here is when I was an apprentice, and you and I have talked about this, Arron. When I was an apprentice, there was a guy who said, "Go get me this." You know, and I didn't know that a wire stretcher wasn't real.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And then there was a guy that said, "Here, come with me. And I'm going to show you what this tool is, and I'm going to show you how it works,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to teach you. And I'm going to take the time to do that." You guys are being that guy. And in the industry, that's who we need to be. When I say step up to the line, this is what I'm talking about. I'm saying put your money where your mouth is. And listen, here's the deal. It is good for you. If in your company you are starting to do this stuff, it's going to be hard. Everything that you've talked about came with hardship after you decided to do it.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like, hey, we have this great idea. Oh, there's rock. Well, if you would have stopped then, we wouldn't be here today.
Yeah, no, and to anybody listening, I mean, if you want to see what we're doing, come on. Like, there's no secrets. I mean, that's the other thing we got to get over.
Yeah.
Jason Richmond and I had a podcast, and he talked about the learn and grow mentality or protect and defend.
Yeah, it's we're no better than anybody else, and at the end of the day, you know, means and methods are pretty similar. Yeah, you may be a little better than another company at something, but really, you know, your differentiating factor is, you know, your people and your culture. And, you know, if you want to come see what we're doing, come on, because I can probably come learn from somebody else. And what we're looking for is like-minded peers, because if we're going to go do all of this as an industry ever, the missing component is values. You can't do it for shareholder value.
Come on.
You can't do it for a profit dollar. And if it's fake, like we talked about, the folks you're trying to get to the most actually believe in you, buy in it, and choose it as a career, they're not going to come here and they're not going to believe anything you're telling them.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking for is like-minded companies, like-minded men and women, and let's somehow, hopefully in the future, figure out how to do this together.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, it is a financial burden. And, you know, if you work at a publicly traded company and listening to this, I mean, it's a hard sell. So my message is, you know, my saying is little nibbles, not big bites. Start somewhere.
Yeah.
Do what you can, where you can, at your position, because courtesy, effort, and attitude, that doesn't cost anything, and that's entirely up to you.
Yeah. Well, it makes a difference for sure.
Yeah.
So the whole thing with how the Mohawks came to be in ironwork and natives was there was a project in Montreal, and it was from Chateauguay to Montreal. It was a big bridge. The company came in, and they were doing construction, which they were doing ironwork at the time.
Yeah.
And they noticed that when they went home at the end of the day, that the natives in Chateauguay, where the town was, the village, would go up onto the bridge and walk the steel that they had set. And they were walking it, and they noticed that they're getting around like nobody's ever seen, like just with guys with no experience. So they went down into the village and asked them, like, hey, do you guys want to work? If yous are up here every day getting around with no issues. So that's where it started.
Wow.
So they had hired a bunch of men from the town to come and work. Unfortunately, what had happened was because back then, engineering, safety, it wasn't a big priority. There was a very big accident. And as they were getting ready to connect the bridge from either side, the weight was too great for what they had engineered it for. So they had put a stop to the construction of the bridge.
Wow.
One of the supers, I can't remember exactly what it was, but they overrode everyone and said, no, we're going to finish. And as they were finishing, the bridge collapsed and it trapped like everyone. And then the tide started coming up. So men were pretty much buried underneath the steel, the ones that didn't die from the fall. And whether they were native or French Canadian, just the Canadian men, they ended up drowning.
Wow.
So what happened was the women of the town came together and said, the men can no longer work on one project together. And that's the story of when my people, my heritage, they started going to Boston, New York, Chicago, Toronto, Montreal. Like they started spreading out. And that's how they ended up going work down in New York City.
Wow.
And all over the U.S. and Canada.
Wow. What a tragedy and a sad story. I mean, the importance of us paying attention and taking into account safety in the work that we do, but also remembering the fact that some of the things that all of us take for granted, whether it's bridges we drive across or buildings that we live in, the sacrifice that is made for that, and those who've gone before us. That's when you say that you have ironwork in your blood, that actually carries some weight and some truth to it. You really do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm third generation in my family. I'm the last of my family as my generation to get into the business.
Wow. Well, I mean, we are in New York, a pretty famous American state. And when we were making our journey up here, we had actually stopped by the World Trade Center, and New York and ironwork is just so commonplace. Like when I think of ironwork, I think of that famous picture of those guys taking lunch, where they're all sitting on the steel. And but in our travels, when we were on our way up here, we stopped at the 9/11 Memorial at the World Trade Center Plaza, and I was talking with you about this a little bit earlier, and it was just really striking to me, and I want to bring it up because I had a little bit of a, I don't know if you want to call it an epiphany or an insight, but our creative director had said, hey, I want us to go here, and get some shots going through New York. And then he's like, have you ever been? And I was like, no. And he used to live here in New York, in Brooklyn. And he said, well, you have to go. And so we were there, and we began to go through the museum. And, I told you that I could remember where I was when I was an apprentice and I was at work. We were on coffee break when we were listening to Paul Harvey and hearing about the plane hitting the tower. And then while we're listening to the radio broadcast, the second plane hits the tower. And when I was walking through the memorial, all of those emotions, all of that reality, it just kind of came back. And I remembered where I was. I remember what I felt like. It was like I could taste it. and it was just so amazing and honoring and surreal to be there in that space, to see the steel, to see the concrete, you know, and to be aware that so many people died there, giving their lives, but then so much more, and I was, I honestly really struggled with the fact that I had forgotten, which listen, I'm saying this publicly. The big thing with 9/11 was never forget, and I had forgotten. And we're walking through the memorial, and I'm looking at hard hats, I'm looking at tools, I'm looking at pieces of paper, and then I'm seeing the people that after this tragedy that came together, the first responders and the tradesmen, and the people who came and began to build back.
Right.
And to clear the rubble. While I was walking through, someone saw on my my Instagram that I was at the 9/11 memorial, and he texted me. He goes, "Hey, there's this demolition company. I believe it was Griffin out of South Carolina, and there's a demolition company that was a big part of coming up and helping clear the rubble and helping do that." And it's like, we talk about how the trades matter, and we talk about lifting the view of the skilled trades. And we talk about being aware. And I began to become aware of the fact that, you know, when I turn on my computer or I go home at night and I turn on the lights, I've forgotten about the men and women who've done that work, that make that work. You know, and you talk about your grandfather, and I too, my grandfather and my uncles, they all worked for, a pretty big utility company. They worked on line crews. They were linemen and groundmen, and they worked in storms. And it's like the work that they did is why I can live the life that I live. But I've forgotten about that work. Yeah. And I think as a country and a culture, we've forgotten about the work, whether it's iron workers, whether it's plumbers, whether it's pipe fitters, whether it's electricians or carpenters. We forget what it is that has been done. And that's why I'm sitting out here in the snow with the cold plunge guy when you're off work. You know, we're sitting out here in the cold in the wilderness, and we're talking about this stuff because you need to remember. You not only need to remember, but you need to be aware. If you're watching this or listening to this, you're on the internet, and there are men and women who are investing their lives. And like your heritage, there are men and women who have sacrificed their lives, because we're learning this as we go. And it's like, I mean, it was really impactful to me to be there and to see that stuff, and just to realize that I too have forgotten. And so I just want to challenge us all to be remembering what it is that is done by those that we so underappreciate the work that they do.
Absolutely. I mean, just the day-to-day, we forget when we turn power on, when we turn a tap on to wash our hands. I mean, I know I'm an iron worker, but still, I mean, there's, as you know, the trades are vast and everything, just for day-to-day, just to make our days more convenient. Day-to-days, roads, bridges, power, water, sewage.
Yeah.
I mean, the list can go on and on when it comes to the trades and blue collar.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I just think that we do take it for granted, and we don't appreciate it, and we can't do anything without it.
No.
You know, I mean,
no.
We can't. Yeah. And I just think that's important to highlight. And sitting here and talking with you and hearing about your heritage, your history, and feeling a connection, knowing that even my ancestry, which is yours is pretty cool, man. Yours is pretty cool. But knowing the men and women that sacrificed and wanting to honor that, just like that memorial at 9/11 was so impressive. The way that they honored the people that died, the way that they honored the people that came, I mean, and the fact of the things that stood, we take that for granted. And I mean, I could spend an entire podcast talking about that, but tell me a little bit more about your story. So you got into the trades, it was in your family, and so And now you've kind of even made an impression on social media. I want to call it something else to make it sound cooler, because I just don't like that name. But on the internet, you've made a name for yourself,
Right.
you know, and people have gotten impressed with who you are,
Right.
to the point that now when you go onto a job site, you talked about this, people are like, he's the picture guy.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So I pretty much got. I've always had big shoes to fill. I found in ironwork.
I would
because
think so with your history.
with my history, and not only my grandfather, but my uncles as well, especially in New York City, their names carry a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And like you said, you were at 9/11. I had both my uncles at 9/11 when it happened for the cleanup, and I had one uncle for the rebuild.
Wow.
So that site holds to my family as well. I mean, all the trades are dangerous when you get down to it. I mean, you could be holding a flag, be a flagger in the street and get hit by
Yeah.
a car. I mean, it's
Well,
no
you
di-
remember
yeah.
in Maryland, I think it was it this past year or last year, six people died because there was a car accident
Right.
on the highway, and they didn't do anything wrong. They did everything the way that they should,
Right.
but stuff happens.
Right.
You know, it's like that's life.
Yeah.
I mean, it costs something to make this stuff happen.
Right. And it's funny you talk about that too, because like in the trades, especially for us being in the USA, we are so safe. And I know
Yeah.
a lot of us get a lot of flack at times. But if you go on Instagram and you watch stuff that's done overseas, and
Oh, my
I
word.
always see in my feed cranes falling over, buildings coming
Yeah.
down. I mean, I don't see that here. It's
Yeah.
very rare it happens.
Yeah, yeah, it is very rare.
Yeah.
And usually it's because we're rushing to do something and not taking the time to do it the way we should.
Right.
I mean, almost for me in my life, that's always where it comes back to. When I'm hurrying to do something, then that's when mistakes happen.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, I want to ruthlessly eliminate hurry from my life. That's really what I want to do.
Right.
I had a boss who years ago would say to me, I remember we were doing a job and a big wire pull, and I was running to get a tool, and he like, you know, my last name is Malott, and he's like, Malott, yelled across the job site. He said, we don't run. That's not what we do.
All right.
And he said, that communicates that something's wrong, someone's hurt, and he goes, we do our job in this amount of time, we take our time, we do our job right. And that's what you need to remember. If you're entering the trades or you're working in the trades, listen, don't hurry. Hurry never ends well, never goes well.
Right.
So, Dru, one of the things that I want to ask you, and I ask everyone this, but what is a piece of gear or a tool that you cannot live without? You know, the end of the world is coming. You have to choose one thing for the rest of your life. What is that one thing?
That one tool?
A tool or a piece of clothing, gear, whatever, that one thing.
I would say a Leatherman.
Really?
Yeah.
So this is a plug for Leatherman. Again,
Yeah.
Dru Jacobs on Instagram.
I would say Leatherman. A Leatherman multi too.
Tell us why.
It's so versatile. I mean, you can do so much with a Leatherman. I mean, I've used them on high-rise construction jobs. I've used them on
Really?
home project. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, I carry a Leatherman on my tool belt at work.
All right, so I'm going to push a little deeper here in this because, like, I want to hear this. You've used a Leatherman on a high-rise construction job.
Oh,
In
yeah.
what way? Opening your Amazon box that got delivered with whatever swag you're supposed to post? Like, no, seriously.
No, I mean, there's times like on the job we get certain pieces of steel in,
Yeah,
and they'll have like little safety wires on them.
yeah,
And usually, like, so with our setup, we carry open end wrenches that are real big. They're called spud wrenches.
yeah.
And you ain't really getting much done. So to have to have that Leatherman in your
Yeah.
back pocket, you know, or in your pouch, just pop it off and pop the wire off. That we can take the bolts out so we can assemble it.
Wow.
I mean, they come in handy. I mean, for torch work, I've had to use them to cut the line and then resplice line back together.
we should
with a
really
knife.
connect you with Leatherman. I mean, I sound like they have an ambassador thing going on here with Dru Jacobs.
And I have so many Leathermans.
Yeah, I have that problem
Yeah.
too. My Leatherman, I still remember I actually broke it once because it didn't do really good against stainless steel, but the Wave was my favorite. What's your favorite one?
I can't remember the name of it now. It's just like the basic. It's got everything. The
yeah.
file. Because I don't remember. I don't know the names of them.
Yeah,
I just usually go grab wherever and just like, that's the one I need.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's I have a thing for tape measures like that. I have so many tape measures, and every time in a hardware store, I like need to buy another tape measure. It's kind of a weird disease or addiction that I have, but yeah.
Yeah. I just pretty much get a basic Leatherman. I mean, because they're so handy. I mean, and a lot of people don't even realize it. I mean, especially for me, there's been times when I didn't have my Leatherman, and I'm like, I should have had my Leatherman.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the thing as tradespeople that we really need to go after is like, we can't do it alone. You know, your job is no less important than that guy's job. His job is no more important than your job,
Right.
because the fact that we can't do it alone. You know, I compare it to the human body in the sense of my thumb might not be as important or you know, or as my foot or vice versa. I don't know, but like all of it works together. And in that same way, we need to operate together. We need to work together. We need to promote together,
Right.
and we need to do those things. And you said it. We need to treat people the way that we want to be treated.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they call that the golden rule for a reason.
Right.
I mean, and we need to do more of that. And there is a stereotype. You know, negative voices seem to be the loudest and get the most traction. But that doesn't mean we can't change it. It doesn't mean that we can't affect a difference in the work that we do. And I think that you're doing that, Dru. In the things that you post, and dude, your stuff is just cool as shit.
Thank you.
Like I see some of your posts, and I'm an electrician. I don't do ironwork, but it's pretty cool to watch. And I've been on the jobs when it's happening.
Yeah.
Also cool when you're on the job in person. It's like you have your own front row seat to what's going on.
Right.
And, you know, I think that we just need to continue to realize that all of us deserve a certain level of honor just because we're there on the job and we're doing the work. And no one is more important than the other because no one can operate without the other. And we as tradespeople, we really need to focus on that and work towards, this is not a shameless plug, but we need to work towards lifting the view of the skilled trades. And, you know, Joshua Malott can't do that alone. Dru Jacobs can't do that alone. But here we are in upstate New York, sitting out in the woods, in the cold, in the snow, and we 100% can do that together.
Oh, absolutely.
When we do it together, we actually can raise that view just like when we raise a building.
Yeah. See, because like, and speaking to that, like, it's personally like a thing I don't like is, especially when people go through their apprenticeship and they treat apprentices really bad.
Come on.
And treat them like shit. And I'm like,
I was an apprentice, so I know
yeah.
what you're talking about.
I mean, it's like and they're like, well, they have to earn their stripes, whether you're ironwork or whatever. I get that.
I've heard that exact statement.
I get that, but at the end of the day, that's your retirement.
Yeah.
That is going to be a retirement. Why wouldn't you want to treat them to be the best? That way you're building more legacy for your union or your company, whatever, if you work for a union or you don't. But I get it. There's a time and place to haze the new guys.
Yeah.
I'm no angel. I've done it. But I also pull them aside when they're trying to do something and try to teach them as well to make it easier for them.
Yeah, if we aren't mentoring the new people, we're really stupid. I mean, we really, you're touching on something that's really important to me. I believe that we need to be training up someone else to do our job because...
Or no one's going to do it.
Or no one's going to do it. And there's no way that you're going to move to the next job if you're not training somebody to do your job because there won't be anybody to take your place.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been a part of building companies and, you know, I couldn't be doing the work that I'm doing now had I not trained someone to do my job then.
Right.
And if you're a journeyman or you're, you know, an experienced veteran in the trades and you're out there complaining like, well, I don't have the people. I don't have people that know what they're doing. I don't have the experience. I mean, we hear that in our line of work all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, stop complaining about it. Stop bitching about it. Get off your ass, mentor someone, train them, teach them, show them how to do your job so that you can grow the industry.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to suck it up and take the time to teach the next person.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it. I see it a lot in my trade where, you know, especially because my generation, we're still at where there's old timers in, and then there's my generation, and then that new generation's coming in, where we've all went through what that real old generation went, where we got screamed at all day, yelled at, and basically just got thrown up there and expected to know what to do up there.
Yeah.
And then nowadays, the kids are a little bit more, I guess, timid,
Yeah.
to be more politically correct.
Yeah. Oh, we're
But-
all about being politically
Yeah.
correct on this show. Sure.
But they're a little softer than, my generation.
Yeah.
And, I tell kids all the time that come on the job, I'm just like, listen, it's good to have thick skin,
Yeah.
but also find someone who's willing to work with you.
Yeah.
And if someone isn't, just whatever, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
we should be, as a whole, not just my trade, but as a whole, grooming and teaching the next generation.
Absolutely.
Because, like you said, no one's going to have power, no one's going to have buildings in
Yeah.
the next 15, 20 years if we don't. I mean, and there's a time and place to haze the new guys. I'm all for
Yeah.
it, but we really need to be teaching first, playing later.
I agree. So I got to re-say that again because that's a nugget right there. We need to be teaching first and playing later.
Right.
That is the truth of it. And if you're out there on the job and you're a welder, you're an electrician, you're a drywaller, whatever it is, you're an iron worker, and it doesn't matter if you're union or you're open shop or any of that stuff. Listen, it doesn't matter. There's too much of a need out there for us to try to like silo ourselves and make it me versus you.
Right.
Like we need to be training and teaching, and there's a time for playing later.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to be about.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that we're going to be able to affect change. And that's if we do it together. Like I can't do this thing alone of lifting the view of the skilled trades. I need people like Dru. Quite frankly, Dru has much greater reach than I do in communicating what it is that we're doing and what's out there. And we need to do that together.
Oh,
you need to do
absolutely.
your part just like in setting steel and iron. And I need to do my part in what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
And if we all work together at it, we'll be able to make a difference. And I mean, here we are sitting on your property in upstate New York. You can have a good life as a tradesman. You can be satisfied. You can be fulfilled in the work that you do.
Oh, yeah.
And we talked about this a little bit earlier. Even years ago, you can live a good life. You can pay your bills, and you can live well.
Yeah.
You can even do that more so now because the world is beginning to realize, oh my, if I want my toilet to flush, I need to pay for it.
Right.
And
really, like, if you really think about it, in a way, the blue collar today in 2024 is almost like that white collar. It's getting to that point where
it is.
we're the middle class. Like,
Yeah.
I've been blue collar my whole life, and I remember there was a time when blue collar was always kind of like the lowest of the
Yeah.
of the economic scale of income with people.
Yeah.
It's kind of reversed. I mean, I don't have college education, and I live a lot better than a lot of the, my friends who went to college and university.
Yeah.
The one I've been reflecting upon a lot though recently is in February of this is 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Florida. And my dad called me and he said, "I don't want to talk to you anymore."
Ouch.
Done. I remember the phone call. I remember everything about it. I remember exactly where it was. And I said, "I'm really disappointed to hear that." And I haven't spoken to him since. Haven't had a conversation.
Sorry.
It sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not fun. But I don't talk about it for the sympathy or anything like that. I'm good. I've been in therapy for 5 years. But this I really had to wrestle with. And it took me until recently to really understand that, I could wish all I want that things could be different, should be different. Why do I, why do I have to be the parent here? Why I'm doing all this stuff? Am I not good enough?
Yeah.
Or, man, I wish I could share this with my father, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You go down the list, and I've gone down the list 100,000 times over the past few years. But what I came to realize maybe a month ago is that I don't have any say over my father and how he feels and what he does.
Right.
No say. And so for all I can do is change how I carry the relationship that we have and the understanding that I have for his position. And so for the past few years, the mistake would be, and maybe this is a necessary part of the process, I've carried that resentment for years. And all it does is just corrode you from the inside.
Yeah.
And now I've been able to foster this much better understanding and almost forgiveness in a sense for wherever he's at, whatever he's going through.
Yeah.
And maybe I never talk to him again. That's okay. If that is what it is.
Right.
But no matter what happens, I'm not going to sit here and harbor these poisonous emotions.
Yeah.
Because all that does is just degrade me as a man, as an individual.
Yeah.
And once I'm still working through it. This is still very
Raw.
But it's been very freeing in a sense.
Yeah. Forgiveness will do that.
Yeah, I don't have to carry around that
Yeah.
resentment, that hatred, that anger. And maybe nothing changes, but I don't have any control over it. All I can control is how I approach the situation and how I carry it.
Yeah.
And how I carry my relationship with my father. And that's what I'm going to focus on.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
That's something at the core of what I believe in my faith and my journey in life, that I believe is something I'm supposed to be about. And I was challenged by you to do that. And so I want to say thank you for that, because I've been able to see then in my world, and it doesn't matter how big or how small it is, but when you've challenged me to be able to invest and impact other people, and that taps into the power of multiplication where we actually can change an industry. Yeah. And you have been a pioneer. You have been you're out in front. And so you've made it easier for others to come along and do that. And I just want to say thank you. I appreciate that. Truly.
No, I very much appreciate that. It's funny, we spoke on the phone maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you asked, we were talking about something specific, and you asked, hey, do you have people around you that challenge you or call you out? One of the things that Dan called me out on a few weeks ago was that I don't talk about others enough. And it's quite funny, and it's made me feel a little guilty because the position I'm in, people just make it about me, but it's not, like, to me, it's not about me.
Yeah.
And I'm answering their questions, or they're saying what you said, like,
right,
congratulations on what you've done, this and that. But I don't really believe it's been me. I like, one, my parents dealt me a really good hand.
Yeah.
A really good hand. And I'd be toast if they hadn't done that. I'd be a nobody, one. Two, I was put on this path and presented with these really great people early on that helped me build my love for this world. Three, we have incredible people at this company, like Dan, like Randy, like Jason,
I can see
like
that.
Kara, like Jessica. I mean, you can go down the list.
Yeah.
Really, really, really good group of people. And all the time, I feel like the outsider around here. I'm like, what am I doing here? Why do these people believe in me so much? Why are they following me? Why are they still here? Like, for all the dumb shit I've done, they're still here. Why? And then all the great people like yourself, like probably most of the people you've had on your podcast, I know, most likely. I've been able to enjoy the support of the Herb Sargents, the Brian McManuses, the Dan Garcias, the Jonathan Stracks. You go down the list. And so I'm grateful to be the one helping to organize it. But, I'm just playing my part, and it's a small part in the grand scheme of things, and it's thanks to you, everybody, to make it a reality. And then, most importantly, I know that I am nothing without the people out in the field actually doing the work.
Yeah.
So
I can relate to that.
I am under no illusion
Yeah.
that it's about me. And no, it's about the guy in the ditch right now, wherever
Yeah.
it is. It's kind of cold today, so they're out there, they're working. They don't.
I cannot believe you just said it's cold today.
Oh, it's cold. It's cold. I'm from Arizona. It was 40 this morning, whatever it was. But I'm under no illusion that even all these great people, we all know that, hey, we're just here to support those out in the field.
Yeah.
That's all this is about.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was very good.
No.
That was, not very concise.
But you did what Dan called you out on.
Yeah, and when he called me out on it, it's like, well, that's what I genuinely believe, but I don't articulate it.
Yeah.
Because I think I need to create opportunities to articulate it more, like that. Like I don't want to dismiss your praise, because I
don't feel that at all.
I think that's something valuable. It's like, hey, I really do appreciate it. But then I'm a small part.
Yeah.
I'm a small part. Yes, like my name's on the company for better for worse, but I am just a piece in the puzzle.
Yeah.
And without the whole puzzle, none of this works.
Yeah. Well, and that is the truth of team. You know, without all those people, while some of us might have a role that is more forward facing, we can't do the things that I couldn't be here right now if there weren't people working that are back home doing stuff, making things happen.
Yeah.
I couldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you.
Well, yeah, like last week I took off, left the country.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I don't think I got a single phone call.
Yeah.
Not a single phone call.
Yeah.
None.
Come on.
So, I write every day. And one of the things is, hey, I'm really grateful for the great team and people I have around me, supporting me, that allow me to do this.
Yeah.
That allow me to go halfway around the world and not have to worry, which is a gift in itself and a testament to all the remarkable people here.
I think that's the importance, and you have to go, and so do I. That's the importance of building a team of people.
Yeah.
So that you can actually affect change.
Yeah.
Well, Arron, thank you for stepping up to the line. Look forward to seeing you at Dirt World and seeing what you guys are doing over the next year.
Thanks for coming on down.
Thanks. All right. That's it.
Right on, man.
Sorry about your microphone in your face.
That's